All right, what is good? What's happening? How's everybody doing today? My name is Chuck, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to be hopping into my top 5 best classes for you guys to use here in Warzone. We're going to be jumping into some awesome setups you guys are going to be able to dominate with here. It's going to be pretty sick. These are definitely some top-tier meta weapons. So, of course, I got the best setups for you to use on those best weapons. Before any farther, make sure you guys drop a like next 5 seconds for some good luck. And if you subscribe, all notifications turned on, I promise you'll win your next game of Warzone. Okay, so the first one we're taking a look at here is going to be the XM4. I really like this one, and especially this variant here, the Annihilation variant. It's a new one that actually came to the shop here pretty recently. The XM4 is a top tier AR you guys should be using. You can use it as a variety of things like an AR SMG hybrid, or you can use it just as a straight AR, which is how we're going to be building it out today. So let's actually hop in as first thing, the muzzle category. We're going to run the agency suppressor here. I absolutely love the agency suppressor on this thing. I think it's really good. Sound suppression, vertical recoil, controllable velocity, of course, effective damage range. You can't go wrong with this thing if you're to use it as like a hybrid. Probably want to run the regular suppressor, though I've definitely done both because they kind of nerf some of the recoil and everything. So the agency is definitely a must, kind of more or less in general. So I definitely go ahead and run this. After that, the barrel section, we're going to run the 13.5 task force for bullet velocity, horizontal recoil, effective damage range, and vertical recoil control. This is definitely by far the best barrel for this gun. If you guys are going to run anything, you have to run the task force. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no nothing up for debate. Nothing else is better. It's always a task force barrel. Now, in the underbarrel section, we're going to be throwing on a foregrip here, and that's just because we need to control that recoil and sort of be using the field agent grip here for horizontal and vertical recoil control. The field agent is the best one in this category. I've tried experimenting around using like the bruiser grip if I was trying to make this like a hybrid setup, but that's just for like a whole nother video. We're trying to make this a true AR, so you need the field agent to make it as effective as it possibly can be. So always run the field agent on this gun. After that, in the magazine section, we're gonna go throw on the 45 round magazine. We only need the 45 round magazine on here and not the STINAG 60 round, just because this gun is gonna slow down a little bit too much if you throw on that STINAG 60. I just feel like I get way less mobility than I'd prefer when I have a STINAG 60 over the 45. So I always run the 45 on this gun, and it works out incredibly well for me, especially when I'm playing Rebirth Island. I absolutely love having more mobility and be able to move around a little bit quicker and have, less ADS penalty, actually, because there is no ADS penalty with the 45. So going to give this a shot. If you feel like you need more ammo, just understand you guys are going to be a little bit slower. So you guys can use either or, but there's just kind of like a thing here. If you want more mobility, run the 45. Then to finish off this build here in the optic section, we're throwing on the Axle Arms 3 times here, as this is by far the best optic here for the Cold War ARs. Highly recommend you guys actually use this one. It's just so good, so clear. The sights on this are beautiful, and I'd highly recommend this. I don't really recommend anything else. There's just nothing else in here that's really that beneficial to use. So always run the Axle Arms 3 times, and this is an amazing build here for the XM4. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Give it a shot. Tell what you think about it in the comment section below. Now let's actually jump into a build here for the MP40. This one's got, of course, a lot more attachments here. It's got 10 instead of like 5 attachments that you can normally use on any of the Cold War Modern Warfare weapons. So let's actually hop in this here. This is going to be kind of a long one, so let's just get into it real quick. So first thing on this here, you guys can either run the Mercury silencer or you can run the recoil booster. It's a little bit up to you if you want to have a little bit more fire rate. Personally, I've actually had good success using the Mercury silencer or just the recoil booster. I don't really like that I get an ADS penalty with the M1929 silencer, so that's the reason I'd recommend the Mercury, because it says it decreases your damage range, but you're not really trying to use this thing outside of like super close range anyways. So you guys can run the Mercury or the recoil booster. I'll just go throw on the recoil booster, as this thing is incredibly good and lethal with that, but of course you're going to be loud showing up on the radar, so it's one of those things you have to take into account. After that, in the barrel section, we're actually going to throw on the Krausnik 317mm04B barrel. This is going to make your gun just a lot more accurate, and that is definitely good. Don't worry about any of those cons. It's not too big of an issue, as we will definitely correct all that stuff out here in just a second. Now, on the underbarrel side of things, this gun doesn't have too much recoil. It really has very minimal recoil. So I'd recommend running the SG98 Compact. This is aim, walking, movement speed. This is going to make you a lot more agile, and I personally found this to be very good. I love running this on Rebirth, and I was dominating with this, so I had a video on this just a little bit ago. Definitely recommend the SG98 Compact, as it is incredibly good. After that, in the magazine section, we're actually going to throw on the Gorenko 45 round magazine, and this, I know it says minus damage, bullet penetration, bullet velocity and range, but I'll tell you guys right now, over all these other magazines, it is genuinely going to be the best one out there with this build. You guys are going to be dominating, taking people out, and I normally would never go for a magazine like this, but it's just unbelievably good, and that's what makes it so that your gun has virtually no recoil and a high fire rate. is just this magazine here along with all the other attachments. So I definitely recommend that. After that, on the ammunition side of things, we're gonna throw on the incendiary rounds because these things are stupid. They're a little bit broken, a little bit OP, because when you shoot somebody, when you run away, if you notice you've been hit by incendiary rounds, you can't plate up initially. So that's kind of a little bit broken in that sense. So you want to definitely be able to take people out, you know, as fast as possible. And if you can chase somebody down and they can't plate, well, that's definitely a good thing. So incendiary are definitely the way to go. Now the rear grip section, we're going to go down in here and we're going to add on the fabric grip here for ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, and hip fire accuracy. Definitely recommend this one out of all of them. I love having super, you know, large amounts of agility, mobility. So I definitely say the fabric grip here is the way to go. After that, in the optic section though, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the very bottom here and throw in the Krausnik ISO1M large iron sights. You guys can either run this or you can run the slate reflector, but what I would say is that you do actually gain some ADS speed by having the iron sights on here, and they're definitely pretty clear. But if you feel like you're not having enough clarity in your sights, just go throw on the slate reflector and you guys will be good with that as well. I've used both, and I do personally like the Krausnik iron sights a little bit more. So after that, in the stock section, we're gonna go throw on the remove stock here for hip fire accuracy and movement speed. You won't really feel any of that accuracy recoil control just because that magazine is just going to do all that work for you. So you guys really won't notice that. You're just going to feel a lot of movement benefits, which is what I like. And then after that, in the perk section, we're going to go throw on steady here for ADS firing move speed. I love this. This is going to make me a little bit more agile, kind of have me bounce around a little bit. It's a little bit disgusting. To finish off this whole build here for our perk 2, we're going to go throw on quick here for increased sprint speed. Though if you guys really want to, you can throw on something like fully loaded, and you guys will be good with that as well. It's just kind of those things. You want a little bit more speed out of this thing, run on quick. If you want more ammo, run fully loaded. I personally like quick. And this is my full build here for the MP40. Hope you guys do enjoy this one. Absolutely love it. It's a banger of a gun. Okay, next up, we're going to be doing a build on the Bullfrog. This is still a really good gun, and I'd highly recommend you guys use this thing. This is the AQUARIA variant, probably my favorite one out there. So let's hop into a muzzle category to throw on the groove suppressor here. You definitely need to run this over the sound suppressor. The sound suppressor is just not nearly that good, so I'd recommend running the groove suppressor on this gun. After that, in the barrel section, we're throwing the 7.4 task force here for effective damage range, bullet velocity, and strafe speed. Overall, this is really solid, and I'd highly recommend you guys run the task force on this gun. After that, though, in the underbarrel section, we're going to go throw on the bruiser grip here for movement speed and hip fire accuracy. I love the bruiser grip for this gun. It just seems to work out very nicely. So if I was you guys, definitely run the bruiser grip here over maybe something like the Tiger Team Spotlight. But you can definitely run the Tiger Team Spotlight instead of the bruiser grip. It's just one of those things that's a little bit personal preference. For me, the bruiser grip or the Tiger Team works very nicely, but I've definitely been using the bruiser grip here more recently, so I'd definitely go with that one. After that, in the rear grip section, though, we're going to throw on the Serpent Wrap here for increased ADS time. I absolutely love the Serpent Wrap on this gun. I think it is super effective, and it's definitely one of my favorite, you know, combinations of attachments between this and the bruiser grip. So if I was you guys, let's just throw on this and we'll kind of call it a day at that. And for our final attachment in the stock section, we're throwing the KGB skeletal stock. They did technically nerf the KGB skeletal stock and the Spetsnaz PKM stock. They tried to nerf that on all the Cold War SMGs, but it still feels incredible. So I don't really pay too much attention to that. I tried it out afterwards. I made sure it worked perfectly fine, and sure enough, it does. I was frying with it, so definitely going around the KGB. This is my full Bullfrog build here. Go give this one a shot. It is amazing. You guys will love this. All right, now let's give you guys a build here for the OTS. This is going to be a bit of a different one than last time, though it's still going to be pretty dang effective. So first thing, the muzzle category, groove suppressor. We already know what this thing does. It's better than the sound suppressor. You definitely need it on this gun. This gun has more recoil, especially when you build it out the way we do. But I mean, obviously you're gonna get a little bit more recoil when you're trying to make this thing as effective as it possibly can be. So the groove suppressor is what it is. Now on the barrel section, task force barrel, this has kind of been the standard that you guys have to run. You exclusively want to run the task force barrel. There's just no like debate on this. You just have to run this thing on this gun. After that, we're going to skip the underbarrel section and we're going to go to the magazine. We're going to throw on the VDV 40 round fast mag. You need the fast mag on this thing. The reload speed otherwise is a little bit shocked, and I would not recommend you guys to do that. So run the fast mag on this thing. After that, in the rear grip section, we're going to throw on the Serpent Wrap here, and I definitely recommend run this because we're trying to increase our ADS speed, and this is going to help out very nicely. So run the Serpent Wrap. And then for our final attachment, we're throwing the Spetsnaz stock here, as this is going to make you a lot more agile than having the KGB skeletal stock. If you guys want to have a little bit better sprint to fire speed, run the KGB, but if you want to have better strafe speed, run the Spetsnaz stock, you can run either or, but I personally like running the Spetsnaz, you know, just depending on the day versus the KGB. It's one of those things I'll switch back and forth between the two of. So go ahead and run the Spetsnaz. So what you guys think about this one. I personally like this gun a lot, and it's still top tier SMG. Now for our final gun, let's get into a gun here that not a lot of people use nowadays, but it's still really, really good. That's the FARA 83. So first thing on this, I mean, obviously, by the way, this is the SEASCAPE variant, for those of you guys that are wondering. Now in the muzzle category, throw on that Grease Suppressor. You guys already know the drill on this thing. After that, in the barrel section, we're going to throw on the 19.5 Liberator here. Though you can throw on the Spetsnaz if you feel like this has too much recoil. I would say that if you guys feel like you can control it, you want a little bit more mobility, you guys can get away with the Liberator, as this won't control your horizontal recoil, but it will control the vertical, which is still incredibly good. But just know that the Liberator is going to be, you know, the other option as opposed to the Spetsnaz. So run the Liberator or the Spetsnaz, and that's really going to be about it. After that, in the underbarrel section, we have to throw on the Spetsnaz grip. For horizontal recoil, it's basically the field agent grip of this gun. So run that, and then after that, in the magazine section, we're going to throw on the 45 round magazine. Otherwise, if you run that 60, it's just going to be a little bit too slow. This gun's not that agile to begin with, so we just want to be able to have, you know, our increased magazine ammo capacity without slowing us down too much. And then for our final attachment on this gun here, we're going to be throwing on the Action Arms 3 times, as this is going to be the best optic, like I said, for Cold War ARs. This is going to be my full build here for the FARA 83. That's my top 5. You guys enjoyed it. Give it a like, subscribe if you are brand new, and just remember to Cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.